Hey guys, Tim the Toolman Cook back here from All Seasons Maintenance in East Central Alberta, Canada. Welcome back to our channel where we define what it means to be a successful entrepreneur as a modern handyman, where we share tips and tricks, successes and failures on a road to financial freedom. So welcome back for another Tool Time gear review, and I've got a good one for you this week. A couple months back we did an unboxing so I could show you one of my newest tools, the first 60-volt Dewalt tool that I have. And this week I am back to give you a full-fledged review after we've put it through its paces out in the real world, pretended like it was a real chainsaw and had a lot of fun with it. So let's dig in and see what I have learned about this and what I can share with you and tell you why I really love this tool. This beast, like I said, is the 60-volt Flexvolt line. It takes the 60-volt Flexvolt batteries as an exclusive. I told you before that when I bought this, I was under the mistaken impression that I could also run my 20-volt batteries because it does say backwards compatible. The batteries and the charger are backwards compatible with the 20-volt tools, but these new ones need the extra power of the 60-volt batteries. So an hour-and-a-half trip out of town, $300 later, I'm the proud owner of two 6-amp-hour 60-volt Flexvolt Dewalt batteries, and I love them. They're also my go-to batteries when I need longevity and battery life. So this guy here, his model number is DCCS670B. The bare tool on Amazon is $243. The kit with a 3-amp-hour battery and a charger is $369. And the Canadian Amazon site with just the bare tool is $419 Canadian. That's right around what I paid for this. Might have been $389 at the time on sale. It's got over 1,000 reviews with 4.5 star average. So yeah, once again, they knocked it out of the park with this guy. I'm going to tell you a little story. I can remember the exact day that I decided that I needed to get one of these. And this isn't going to be one of them stupid recipes about how my father only has one arm and I was inspired to make this recipe because this flour reminded me of that. No. But anyway, so I've told you many times before, I loathe having to pull on gas-powered items all the time. And I was a stillman for many years. So we had a job, we had to cut down one tree, chunk it up, limb it, pile it up, and then go to another property and do that. So we knocked down this old, dead, rotten spruce tree. It'd been there, maybe took us a half an hour. We ran the saw hot and hard. We got done. I threw it on the back of the truck. We went to the next job. And all we had to do was drop 2 or 3 limbs about that big around that were leaning on the front yard. And I'll be damned, I couldn't get that friggin' saw to start. Not for the life of me. I don't know how many times I pulled, I primed, I choked. I did every combination of holding it in and trying to pull the pull start to keep it from flooding or unflood it. Didn't matter what I did. We ended up using my little 8-inch Dewalt battery-powered pole saw to hack our way through those limbs. I was so mad, I took the saw and I just threw it. That was the day I went home and said to my wife, I'm buying this damn saw. If you want to get another animal or whatever else you really want to do, not a problem. But we're going to trade. She didn't mind. She knew I needed it. It's a write-off for the business. But it was a bit of an investment. That's the day I decided to get this. And it was quick. I think it came in 2 or 3 days. But I was literally like 2 months without ever getting to use this. One guy borrowed it and decided he wanted to cut through a couple of timbers. Completely wrecked the chain. I had to get a new chain before I even used it. But that's neither here nor there. We discovered that these chains, doesn't matter what they are, don't like going in the dirt and they don't like cutting railway ties. So, life tip, don't cut railway ties. So the reason I got this saw is simple. It starts every single time you pull the trigger. Unless, of course, you accidentally left the chain brake on and then it does nothing. Let me show you. Because I've done that a few times thinking, oh, battery must be dead. Okay, battery's in there, you push down, absolutely nothing. Unlike, a gas-powered one, when you do that, you get this, this one. Now I'm good. Now I'm not. Not a problem. Just, I look like an idiot when I'm standing there sometimes, pulling on it, thinking, I better change the battery. Then I go down, check. Oh, cool. And one other thing about these Flexvolt batteries is they have the gauge on the right end, so you can actually see, without taking it out of the tool, what your battery life is. But anyway, I digress. No need to keep mixed gas around, no need to wear ear protection, no need to smell like gas fumes for the next 4 days. Every bit of what I need is right here. 16-inch bar, made rugged enough. I've dropped it a few times. Everything's hard plastic or rubberized around the outside, and it's held up really well. This damn thing is nearly as quiet as a sewing machine. When it runs, it's really not much louder than a sewing machine running full tilt. So you can literally cut next door to a neighbor and not even, wouldn't bother them, wouldn't wake somebody up, that's for certain. One thing I absolutely love is the 100% toolless blade adjustment tools. So right here, that is where you'd normally take your 2 bolts off to take the entire apparatus off if you need to access it. And if you need to just tighten it or loosen it a little bit, it's just right there. And then tighten that guy back in, flip that guy down, done. That's all there is to it. I love it because I have been known to go on location before with my still saw and completely forget my saw wrench. So I like this. You know, it's not perfect. It does loosen ever so slightly once in a while and you got to crank it down a little bit more, but that happens very rarely. So even with the 6 amp hour battery in it, the weight is less than my still chainsaw with a full tank of gas in it. I love it. I can haul it around. It's really good for limbing, but it's good for chunking up too. It has a little more power than speed, so you let the chain, keep the chain sharp, and it'll work its way through just about anything. Like I said, I needed a new chain. I was kind of worried about ordering some sort of Dewalt proprietary chain because I'm sure it's expensive. I went to my local still dealer. It had standard teeth on it. They were able to count the teeth and build me a chain right away. So if you need one and you want something, Still has these really nice carbide blades that last a lot longer. See if you can get those. They didn't have them in stock the day I went, but they were able to build me a standard steel chain and it worked good. So you're going to see in this, we did a test, my daughter and I, my handy dandy helper. I had her as the camera lady that day. My standard test seems to be to slap down a pressure treated 4x4 and see how many cuts I can make through it. With this guy, I made 67.5 cuts on a 6 amp hour battery. It was pretty good. That doesn't sound like a ton, but when we were doing some tree trimming for a lady the other day, we went basically all afternoon limbing and cutting up and whatever, and basically used one battery in just a little bit. Right here is an awesome sight glass into the oil reservoir. I love it. It shows you how much you have left, that's better than anything I've seen on any of my stills. I'm sure they have them now, but the one my wife surprised me with years ago, I still love it. I'm never getting rid of it. I'm attached to it. I'll probably never use it again, but you got to open it up to see how your oil's doing, or just kind of guess, hold it up against something, pull the trigger and see how much oil spurts out. Like I said, just remember it's not backwards compatible, so you need to have these 60-volt batteries, but once you make the jump, you're going to be using these batteries on all your old stuff anyway. One other use that I didn't think of when I bought this, and this has become my go-to demolition tool as well. We just did a fence job for a lady, so we built a new fence outside, a new gate outside the existing gate, and then after I had to go in and cut it down. And before I would have used my cordless reciprocating saw and a sledgehammer and all that, and I thought, well, let's take this with me. And as long as you're careful and don't see any nails, I was able to knock that fence down in about a third the time I would with a reciprocating saw. Loved it. Something I didn't think of, maybe you wouldn't either, but this has become one of my go-to demolition tools as well. So what are the downsides? Of course, well, like I said, price is a big one. It's not cheap, but you get what you pay for. And there is an issue with all of the DeWalt battery-powered chainsaws that I found so far. The damn oil leaks constantly. I did some reading on some reviews on Amazon, and it turns out that they should be putting O-rings on there, but they're not. So if you can go to your local hardware store and get an O-ring, it'll fix the issue with this, and it'll fix the issue with the pole saw as well. Not a real big deal, but it is when you go to your workbench and you've got chain oil all over it and you check and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's tight. So it just needs an O-ring. So do yourself a favor, make that 50-cent upgrade, and you won't cuss so much. So years ago when I lived on the East Coast, we used to cut. We'd fell, cut, split, the whole works, about 12 cord of wood a year to heat our house with for firewood. Now if I were doing that, this would not be my go-to firewood chainsaw. Simply put, this would not hold up for 12 cord in the woods without having to go through 12 or 14 batteries. Would it work? Sure it would work. But it's not designed for that. But I would still have one of these. I chatted with a couple of buddies the other day, And the first guy, he said to me, you know, why would I need that when I cut 10 or 12 cord of wood myself? And I agreed with him. I said, yeah, you know, you probably don't. I thought, well, that's strange for me, a Dewalt guy, to say that. But another friend of mine piped up and he's like, listen, I cut more than that every single year. And I have one of these. He had a Milwaukee, same thing. But he's like, you know, this is my go-to saw. Yeah, I use my big Stihl or Husqvarna for doing the big felling and whatnot. But this is absolutely great for delimbing. Whenever I got to throw a chainsaw in the bucket of the tractor and go down and cut a few fence posts, or, you know, we had a few limbs come down or a tree come down in the windstorm, this is the saw I take. He says, every time. I never reach for that, you know, $400, $500, $600 saw, although this one's that much too probably, but this is the one I take because I don't have to gas it up. I don't have to pull on it. I don't have to worry about it starting in the warm or cold weather. It just works. It's light, it's quiet, all of that. So if you're looking for a chainsaw that's as damn close to a gas-powered chainsaw as you could want, but with all of the benefits of being a battery, this is the guy to go for. One other small negative I found was it doesn't always seem to feed oil quite as well as you'd like it to. So just keep an eye on it. Like I seem to maybe go through half a tank of oil compared to what you would normally think you should. But just keep an eye on it, make sure it's oiling the cuts as you're going. So who is this chainsaw for? Well, it's definitely for a homeowner who's only going to be cutting a few things a year. It's definitely for a small homesteader who needs an off-grid option that they can take with them anywhere they want to go and have instant power. It might not be for a lumberjack who's climbing up to the top of a 80-foot cedar and taking the top off it, but I bet you he'll have one at home or he'll keep one in his truck so he doesn't have to deal with the gas powered every so often. This guy would work for just about anybody. There's probably a small portion of people who own chainsaws who don't need a battery powered one, but that's pretty slim. This thing is literally the cat's ass when it comes to battery powered chainsaws. This is the top of the line for Dewalt right now. I'm sure they'll come out with something a little bit better, but I really do love these Flexvolt 60-volt tools. They're almost as good as their gas-powered counterparts, and they're way better than having to haul a cord around and, make an electric one work for you. So if I had to give it a rating, I should do something better than 2 thumbs, but, the 4.5 stars on Amazon is absolutely perfect for this beast. If you're looking for a good chainsaw, run out and grab it. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, on this video. I appreciate you dropping in and checking out my reviews. I love doing them because I like to talk and I like to talk about tools. So we put those two together and maybe we can make some money off it someday. But we have 3 videos a week on our channel: the Money Making Minute on Monday, Tool Time Gear Review on Wednesday, and Growing Your Handyman Business on Friday. So if you're looking to make more money out of what you already have on hand, or become more successful as an entrepreneur, and join a growing community where we share our failures and our successes, hit the subscribe button and keep coming back, because I got lots of good content for you guys. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.